Today we're going to be checking out a video creation platform that you guys have been begging me to try. It's called Toonly, and you've probably seen it advertised to you on Facebook. They're offering a $67 special, and we're going to see what that version of Toonly gives to you at that $67 price point. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jenn Jager. I own a professional video production company called Plum Productions, and I also have my YouTube channel, My Video 101, where I teach you guys how to level up your video marketing game. So if you've ever seen me create one of these videos before, you know that you see me talking to you on camera, and then you see what I'm seeing on my computer screen as I create my first video on whatever platform we're looking at. Today, of course, it's Toonly, and you're gonna see what I think of it, how easy it is to use, and we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons of it at the end of the video, and then you'll get to see the actual video that I created with this platform. So let's get started. So here's what it looks like when you open the Toonly platform. You can see I've already subscribed to the standard plan, and it tells me all the benefits I get with this standard plan, but how upgrading to $147 would be so much better. But like I talked about, a lot of you guys are asking about that $67 plan, so that's what we're gonna focus on today. So the first thing you want to do is come over here and create a new video. I'm going to call this Toonly demo. And in full disclosure, I did play around a little bit with this morning, just because it takes a little time to just kind of get your feet wet with these platforms, and I don't want to waste your time while I'm doing that. So there's a few things I've already imported into Toonly to help me with this video today, but I truly have not made a whole video with it. I've barely done anything with it. So you are going to get kind of my first impression, even though I cheated a little bit, but trust me, it's in your best interest. Now, once you've created your new movie, you've got this window here. Let's just take a quick tour around the Toonly platform so you can see what we're looking at. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen is all my different pre-prescribed options that Toonly offers. So there's scenes, there's backgrounds, there's characters, objects, lots of objects, and there's a search bar so you can search for different objects. You can also upload your own text and audio. Now, the audio is really just music cuts, but you can see here I already uploaded my own voiceover for this exercise. I actually just took one of the videos I've previously made about increasing your Facebook views, and I shot that video live action, me talking. And so what I did was I cut off the video and I exported it as just a WAV file so I can recreate that video I already made using Toonly. So the first thing we want to do is kind of decide what our scene or background is going to be. Now, the difference between scenes and backgrounds, it took a little investigating to figure this out, but scenes are basically backgrounds plus a lot of other elements. So other objects that they've dropped into the background and people that they've dropped into the background. So it's kind of very plug and play. So you don't have to make a lot of decisions about what belongs in your scene. Over here is the background, and there's a lot more options for backgrounds. Looking at these backgrounds, some of them are really specific. There's like a church, there's the White House, there's the beach. And so if you're trying to do a corporate situation, there's not tons of options for those types of videos. That's the kind of video I would typically be making because my clients are other businesses. And so I don't know, I kind of wonder if I had upgraded and gotten the bigger, better version of Toonly, if I would have more corporate looking backgrounds to choose from. The pickings here are a little bit slim. A lot of these backgrounds are really fun, but when you need something really specific, what you're looking for might not be there. So the other thing to know about backgrounds is you have another option, which is solid colors or gradients. The solid color one, you can actually customize the color of your solid background, which is great. But once you get down to these gradients over here, these gradients, they are what they are. You actually can't change the color of the gradients, which I found to be very surprising because for me, that seems like a very simple coding thing to be able to customize the color of gradients. And the fact that you can't do that is pretty lame, I have to say. So you either have to pick one of these backgrounds, you have to choose a solid color, in which case you can pick from a lot of colors, or you just have the gradients as they're designed here. Those are your options. So I am going to actually try to do more of a corporate setup. I am going to pick this one here, Analytics Room, and I'm just going to grab it and drop it into my canvas. Now, a few things happened when I did that. Obviously, it showed up here in the canvas. You can see big and wide in the center of the screen. You can also see that it showed up here on the right-hand side of the screen. It says Scene 1, and I can actually rename those scenes if I want to, but I don't care. Scene 1 is fine for me. And then you can see it also dropped into our timeline here. And the timeline is very similar to a lot of, traditional editing software where it's, sequential along this timeline, and you can add elements along the timeline to come in at different points. And so let me just hit play and show you what happens. So that is how the scene is pre-programmed to come in, and I can actually change the length of this scene so it stays on for, let's say, a full 8 seconds, but the motion at the beginning remains the same. Now, if I right-click this, I have just a couple options here. I can remove it and delete it, obviously. I can have it not animate on, so I can click off this entrance and you can see if it's just there. Or, let me right click again, I can turn that on, and then I can have it animate out as well. Okay, so those are my options. What I'm gonna do is turn off that exit and leave it to the default, which is that the entrance comes on. Great. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is add voiceover. If you've seen me, any of my videos where I talk about editing at all, you know that I always say you got to start with the voiceover because that is going to determine the time of everything else in your video. So I want to take that voiceover that I exported and custom imported into Toonly and lay it down so we can start adding our elements at the appropriate times. So to do that, we're just going to go over to audios. My imported audio is right here at the top. I called it voiceover for Toonly, and I'm going to drag it and drop it here into the voiceover section of my timeline. And let me just hit play and see how this goes. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? Today, I've got easy peasy Facebook hacks to get you more views on your Facebook fan page. So now we've got our background and it's time to start bringing in elements to match this voiceover. Okay, so let's go on over to objects, and the script says I'm always on the lookout. So let's look for a magnifying glass. Here we go. All right, let's choose this one and I'm gonna drop it in. Let's see what happens. Easy peasy. Okay, first of all, I want it to come in when I say, are you on the lookout? Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? Okay. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views today? Okay, so now I want to add some text. If you click over to the text tab over here, there's only 3 different options for the way that the text can animate. 3 different options. I gotta tell you, it's pretty lame. I would imagine if you got the better version of Toonly, not the $67 version, that you would have way more options, and that's kind of disappointing, but let's work with it. So I'm going to drop this text in here, and if I draw your attention over to the right side of the screen, for content is where I can type in what I want it to say. So more is what I want. I can play with the duration of it coming in or out, smoothness, the color. I'm going to pick like a Facebooky color like this. And then let's check out the fonts. Okay. So the $67 version of Toonly has very few fonts, but you can upload your own fonts, which is great. I've seen this feature in another platform I reviewed called Video Scribe, where, I have tons of fonts in my system because I've just collected them over the years. And it's really important to be able to customize your fonts, especially if you're working on behalf of a client. They probably have particular fonts that you should be using for their marketing materials. So I love that you can upload your own font, but there's something a little bit different about uploading it with Toonly as opposed to Video Scribe. And let me show you. With Video Scribe, I was able to just upload a font and it went right to my fonts, and it was so simple to upload a new font. But here, it doesn't know where my fonts live, which it's annoying. So I have to click all the way through, find my fonts, and then know which one I want, as opposed to in VideoScribe where it showed me all of my fonts that I owned in the actual fonts that they were. So I could really make a quick, easy decision about which font I was going to use for my project. And the way that this is built, it's good that you can upload your own fonts, but it's bad in the way you have to go about it and that you can't like preview the font before you bring it in. So not great on this. Kind of like, I don't know, I give them like a half pass because I love that I can be custom, but I hate all the work that it takes to do it when I know that it can be done easier because I've seen it. So let's just pick a font here. I want something really, I'm just gonna go like Arial bold. I want something really blocky. Is black bigger than bold? I don't know. See, this is where I wish I could see what the fonts actually look like and preview them. Let's just pick black because I do think that's better. So save and upload. There we go. That's a nice blocky font. And I'm going to try to scale this up. Okay, now let's add in the Facebook logo, which I also already uploaded. You'll notice it pops in and out real quick. Watch that again. Okay, so I can customize that. I can right click. The in effect, I've got all of these options. Instant means it just pops right in. Bounce is what it's already doing. Grow means it scales in, and fade in obviously just means that it fades in. Let's see what the grow looks like. Look out for more Facebook. Okay, it's building out so fast. I'm actually going to have it fade out so we can actually see what it's doing, and I'm going to change the duration to match the others. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? For more Facebook views? Look out for more Facebook views. Today I... Okay. Look out for more Facebook views. Today I... Okay. And then the other thing I need is another one of these sliding on texts. All right, this is super glitchy. It's not letting me just grab the Facebook logo and just resize it like I did with anything else. All right, I guess I'm just stuck with that size on the Facebook logo. I'm very frustrated by that. So I don't know if it's just a glitch with this program or that's just the way it's built, that once you've decided the scale of something, you can't go back and change it once you've dropped other elements in. I don't know. It seems a little glitchy. I can't imagine that that's what their intention was when they made this platform. So let's keep working and see if maybe I can come back to it and the glitch has been worked out. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Okay, I ended up changing out the background because that other scene was very busy and it was really hard to get the text to look great over it, and I had zero control over what was in that background, the colors of anything, how soft focus it was. If you've seen my how to make text look great over video, I have a few tricks for making text look good on a background, and I couldn't do it with this program because I have zero control over what that background looks like. That's not really out of the ordinary for these types of platforms. So I kind of just had to like rethink my game plan. So let's see where we are right now. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? Okay, so you'll see here that the voiceover cuts off right where my animation ends, and that's kind of a funny thing about Toonly that I've noticed. This is what I would call my first scene, and in a second I'm going to add a second scene. And what's interesting about Toonly is that you set your voiceover on your first scene, and that's kind of just like the starting point for your whole voiceover. And when you add another scene, it perfectly picks up where your last voiceover left off in your previous scene. So that's kind of a blessing and a curse because it doesn't give you a lot of control over the timing of your voiceover, adding gaps. Sometimes I like to play with the timing of the voiceover, so I add in an extra breath, or I might tighten up a pause, and I can't do this in this platform. But if you're not looking for that level of control, this is actually kind of makes it really easy. From here on out, I don't have to think about the timing of my voiceover. Every scene that I create, I can time perfectly to my voiceover with minimal effort. The software just does it for me, and that's pretty interesting. So in a second, when we create our next scene, you'll see exactly what I mean by that. All right, so we're done with this scene. I feel satisfied with it. Now let's add a new scene. I'm going to draw your attention to the right side of the screen to add that new screen, and we need to pick another background. I'm just going to stick with simpler backgrounds because I am going to be using some text. So what about this wall one? What is this? Drag it over here. Today I've got easy peasy Facebook hacks to get you more views on your Facebook fan. So we want to add some more text. Let's try the smooth text. Ooh, it just kind of fades in. I don't really like that. Let's try this marching one. I don't think I'm gonna like this marching one either. That is so ugly and hard to read. So those are my 3 text options. It can either, let's look at this easy again. It can either just kind of fade in left to right. It can slide in like we did on the last one, and it can be this really ugly marching text is what the effect is called. This is bad. I'm so confused. Can I even have it not animated? No, those are my options. You guys, this is bad. That's bad. We're gonna just stick with that first motion that I picked for the first scene. We're just gonna make do. Again, I'm sure with the higher priced version of Toonly, you get lots more options, but this is no bueno. So let me just play back for you what I've just done. Today I've got easy peasy Facebook hacks to get you more views on your Facebook fan page. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shrink down some of these elements because I want to make room for people in the shot so you can see what the characters do. All right, so just so you understand what I'm doing, this Facebook is my own element that I brought in on my own, and it's not letting me resize the element, and that is super frustrating. All right, so let's just drop in some characters here just so I can show you what it is that we're looking at. All right, so here is all of our characters on this left-hand side, and these are just like anything else, drag and drop. Let's drag her in. So I can't really change what they look like or what they're wearing. Or views on your Facebook page. Okay, so again, I've got all 3 of these characters coming in at the same time, which is fine. They're all coming in, bouncing in and bouncing out. So I'm gonna make it so they don't bounce out because the action happens way too fast. Let me just turn all these off. I'm just gonna do instant on all of these. So that means that they're just gonna pop off. So now we can make these characters do several different things. They have different actions. And the one thing I really do like about Toonly is that you can have them switch action at any point. So the same person can go from waving to thinking or whatever, yoga, whatever, all in the same scene, which is pretty cool. So you can't control what they're wearing, the colors that they're wearing or anything like that, but you can control the actions, which is something that I do really like. In other programs like Powtoon, you can control the actions, but I don't remember being able to have one person in one scene doing more than one action in sequence, and that's pretty cool. So let me show you. You just right click, and under animation settings right now, idle means they're just sitting there. And so these are all, these are all the different actions you can have them doing. They can be angry, clapping, comparing, dancing, drinking wine, exercising, flying in or out, gaming. I am going to have this first person hands up. What does that mean?
Facebook fan page.
Oh, all right. She's raising the roof. I like it. Let's do this one. He's going to be, he can be saying hi. And what is this one gonna do? She is going to be clapping because she's your fan, right?
Views on your Facebook fan page.
Okay, so what you're gonna notice is that I've got some of these elements kind of flying away, and then some just kind of stay here. So you might be wondering why I'm doing that. What you can do with Toonly is that you can add really cool transitions between the scenes. So if you remember that first scene I made where it's like that cityscape and it says, are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? And then it comes to this, I've got hacks for you. We can make a cool transition between these two scenes, and let me show you how to do that. So what you want to do is draw your attention to the right-hand side of the screen here, and you can see I've got scene 1, which is that cityscape, and scene 2, which is this tan wall. And then under here, I can, it says select, it's kind of hard to see. I can pick from any of these transitions for these two scenes to kind of change from one to the other. All right, I'm gonna do collapsing circles. I don't really know what collapsing circles looks like yet, and the only way to find out is to hit the preview button on Toonly, and it kind of renders your whole animations together, creates that transition, and then you can play it back and see what it looked like. So let's hit that preview button, and it's thinking. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? Today I've got easy peasy Facebook hacks to get you more views on your Facebook fan page. Okay, right now I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of my video. When we come back here, you'll get to see that finished video, and I'll give you my final thoughts on what I think of Toonly. Okay, so I've gone ahead and created the rest of my scenes. I'm ready to add some music. Let's check out what we can find under the music tab. All right, so you can see that like I uploaded my own voiceover, we can also upload our own music tracks. There's not too many here to choose from that are already pre-programmed into the $67 standard version of Toonly. Let's just have a little listen. All right, these aren't really great tunes. A lot of them sound very similar. They're all kind of safe. I'm just gonna pick one and we'll see how it sounds with the little video I created. Okay, so what's interesting is like with the voiceover, you just lay the music in on your first scene and then it just kind of fills itself in for the rest of your scenes. I'm gonna hit the preview button and check out what I've made. I haven't watched the whole thing back yet. Are you always on the lookout for more Facebook views? Today I've got easy peasy Facebook hacks to get you more views on your Facebook fan page. My first hack for you is to encourage interaction with your viewers by asking them to like your video or posing a question within your video that they can answer in the comments. My second hack is to make your video a native file on Facebook. And what that means is that you're actually uploading it to the Facebook platform as opposed to uploading it somewhere else like YouTube or Vimeo and then linking to it on Facebook. My final hack is to show your face. People are less likely to scroll by someone who's really talking right at them. If you thought this was helpful, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. See you next time. So now let's look at what it takes to export this video. If we go under the export tab here, there's a lot of options in terms of resolution. I I'm a big fan of 4K, so I'm going to select 4K, and I see that it creates an MP4 file, which is great. MP4 super universal, so we like that a lot. Let's talk about what I like and dislike about Toonly. First thing I got to tell you, for $67, Toonly's pretty great. I mean, you really get a fair amount of backgrounds, characters, and objects that you can use in your videos. So especially, you know, a lot of these platforms, they want like a monthly subscription fee and everything else, but to be able to buy it out for $67, that's pretty good. I also like that you could easily import your own images or voiceovers or even music tracks and even fonts into Toonly. That's super important for customizability, and it definitely gives you more control and a more pro feel. The other thing I liked about Toonly was I liked the way that when I just set my voiceover to start in the first scene, it would just naturally continue in sequence seamlessly, scene by scene by scene. So once I laid down my voiceover, I didn't have to think about it again, making sure that it's picking up where the last one left off. Typically in editing, I really require a lot of control over audio. I like to create gaps where there are none or close gaps where they exist. And I can't do that in Toonly, but from doing these types of product reviews that you've seen a lot on my channel, I can't do that in any of these platforms. So in terms of usability with audio, this I kind of liked. It made it a lot easier. Now let's talk about what I don't like with Toonly. One of the things I didn't love, obviously, was the text animation options. I couldn't just have text pop up on the screen. It had to animate in, and I only had 3 choices for animating text in on my screens in this standard $67 version of Toonly, and that is not enough. 2 of them I couldn't stand, and the third one was good, but then I'm stuck using that one over and over and over, and I really did not like that. I know that if you got a better, more expensive version of Toonly, there's probably way more options for you. And that's something that this version is really, really lacking. There were other few glitchy things I noticed about Toonly. One, remember when I had uploaded that Facebook logo and I was trying to resize it and it wouldn't let me make it any smaller? That clearly was not deliberate. I had also uploaded the Vimeo logo and I was easily able to resize that one. So I don't know what was going on, but it seemed a little glitchy. Another weird thing I noticed is that there's all those characters, but the characters will do different actions. Some of them will think and some of them won't. Some of them will walk with a briefcase and some of them won't. There's all these different actions that these characters can do, but you really have to dig and work really hard to find a character that fits whatever you're looking for and that also does the action you want it to do. Again, if you've gotten a better version of Toonly, a more expensive version of Toonly, then there's probably way more actions that these characters will do. But I do find it odd that it's not uniform across the board, that every character does every action. I can't understand that. I don't know if that's an oversight or by design, but I wasn't a fan of that because I had to work really hard to find characters willing to do what I wanted them to do. Another area where Toonly is lacking is the music library. It's kind of a throwaway. There's about, I don't know, fewer than 20 tracks in there probably, and what's the point? This is something where you definitely have to subscribe to another music library, but you can upload them into Toonly, so that's good. But yeah, I wouldn't count on Toonly to give you good music tracks to match your video. So the standard $67 version of Toonly it's a pretty good place to start, I have to say. If you were interested in trying Toonly, I would definitely start there. But once you kind of ran through all the different scenes and characters and you needed more variety, you could upgrade to that enterprise version and probably get a lot more features to play with. But for $67, I'd say Toonly's not a bad deal. There's definitely a few things I think could be improved, but I always say that with all of these platforms that I review. And if there are other platforms you want me to check out, let me know in the comments, because that is where I get so many of my ideas for my videos, is right from you guys. If you like this video, tell me, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because every week I'm on YouTube with new content for helping you level up your video game. I'll see you next Monday.